Hello everybody, I'm Liz and it is time for another Top 5 Wednesday video. I swear one of these Top 5 Wednesdays I will not sound like a broken record, but this week's topic are your favorite LGBTQIA plus books. I definitely tried to restrict my LGBTQIA elements to either main plot points or main characters, and it really brought my number of books that I have read with these elements down to a very sad amount of books. So, before I get started with my 5 books, I would love for you guys to give me some amazing LGBTQIA recommendations because this statistic needs to change ASAP. The first book I have for you is Dancing Naked by Robert Hodgson Van Wagner. This is a Utah author, so represent Utah. But this is centered around a Utah LDS individual whose son commits suicide, and he finds out that his son is gay, and he kind of has to grapple with not only his son's suicide, but also dealing with this new and different identity that his son had, and honestly, he doesn't believe it's true for a majority of the book. So a lot of the book, he is trying to come to terms with this new truth. And I read it for my gender studies class about 5 years ago, and I still really love this book, and I highly recommend you guys pick it up if you're very interested in not only Utah culture but also LDS culture and just all of that stuff. The next book I have for you will not be a surprise, and that is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This is an amazing book. It doesn't just have one of the main characters part of the LGBTQIA spectrum, but it also deals heavily with mental illness and abuse and all of those traumatic things, and it's just a really interesting story. It's told in letter format, so everything is happening in the past tense as Charlie is writing to his pen pal. So it is very interesting, and I cannot give it enough high praise. The next book I have for you is 7 Ways We Lie by Riley Redgate. This is a book that has 7 different point of views, so be prepared if you ever read it, because it takes about a third of the book before the plot really starts rolling, because you have to be introduced and kind of understand each of these 7 characters. However, this book is very diverse. One of the characters is ace, another character is pansexual, and there's also multiracial characters. So there's a lot of diversity in the book. It centers around a plot of one of the students in this high school are dating a teacher, and the secret gets out, and so these 7 characters are trying to figure out what's going on and what's happening in the school. So it's very entertaining. The third book I have for you is The Listener by Rachel Bosch. This was introduced to me through the Diversathon by Joss from Squibbles Reads, and I was so glad that she introduced me to this book. It starts out when a girl goes and meets a college therapist and identifies herself as actually a previous client called Noah. So there's a struggle with gender identity in the story, but there's also all of these internal motivations going on, not only with the therapist, but also other characters that you meet in the story. So it was very interesting, and I didn't quite like the book by the first time I finished reading it because something still confused me, but the more I thought about the book, the more I went back to the story. I ended up really loving it and really enjoying the story and enjoying the characters, and so it's really grown on me and developed just as an afterthought more than in the span of me actually reading it. And the last book on this list should not surprise you guys at all, and that is If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. This centers stories around a transgendered girl who is really struggling not only with her past identity, but also being in a new school and trying to get the other kids in her school to really not know her past identity. And she really just has to come to terms with that, especially when she starts liking this other boy. So it's definitely one of those contemporary LGBTQ romances. And so I really enjoyed the story, and I really love the message of self-acceptance in the story. And it also helps that it is an Own Voices, because Meredith Russo herself is also transgender. So it's amazing. I absolutely love the story. Highly recommend everybody read it, especially the author's note at the end of the book. That really solidified the story as one of my favorite reads of last year. So there we have my 5 favorite LGBTQIA plus books. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please let me get some recommendations from you guys, because I need to boost up those numbers. It's a little disappointing. And please subscribe, like, all that stuff if you want to stick around, which I hope you do, because I would really love to see your faces next time. Until then, goodbye!